Happy Friday the 13th, and welcome to a new episode of Tales from the Piz.
Welcome to pizowell home video.
Today we're celebrating Friday the 13th, and I could think of no better way to celebrate it than to talk about my history as a fan of the franchise and why I love it so darn much. So grab a beverage, get comfortable, and let's take a trip back to a place that was holy ground for me growing up, the video store. If you're familiar with my channel, then you probably know that the very first Friday the 13th movie I saw was Part 7, The New Blood. But my fascination with Friday the 13th actually began long before that, at the video store. One of my earliest memories is of the video store, and even though I was only 7 or 8 at the time, hell, maybe even younger, I can see it so vividly in my mind. I somehow found myself standing in front of the horror section, as if it had called to me, and though I had no idea at the time, this was a hugely significant moment in my life. I remember where the horror section was. I remember sunlight beaming through the window just to my left, illuminating all the beautifully lurid artwork on those VHS boxes up on the shelves, and I remember being in awe, taking it all in. Friday the 13th wasn't the first to draw my eye, but it was the first that really unnerved me. That moody, ominous, and absolutely gorgeous piece of art tells you everything you need to know about the movie. You have the wide openness of the woods and the fact that so much can be lurking out there. Yet it's claustrophobic because it's all framed within the silhouette of an imposing figure holding a bloody knife. And on a side note, have you ever noticed how that figure has a bit of a feminine shape? Spoiler alert. I remember focusing on the characters, all standing there looking uncomfortable, on edge, one of them staring off into the distance as if startled by a sound from somewhere off in the darkness. There's a lone cabin behind them, and is that someone in the window? Watching? Maybe. Maybe not. But what's for certain is that they're not alone in those woods, and they are most definitely in danger. Now, my mother tried to be a responsible parent at that age and shelter me from anything that was morally questionable. If I wanted to rent a movie from the video store, I first had to present my mother with the VHS box. She'd peruse the images on the front and the back of the box, and most often than not, it was met with immediate rejection. A request to rent Friday the 13th or any of its sequels was met with an immediate no. This, of course, made me want to watch them all the more, so I lived vicariously through the stories of friends. One friend in particular, who luckily had more liberal parents than I. Or so I thought. He filled me in on all of Jason's gruesome and gory exploits that he'd witnessed, and though I don't remember any of those specifically now, I do remember one conversation with him over lunch in the school cafeteria. He described a scene from A Nightmare on Elm Street, a movie he claimed to have watched. In the scene, he described Freddy hiding underneath a table, unbeknownst to his victim. He described how Freddy drove his razor fingers up through said table, cutting off said victim's hand. Maybe his parents weren't so liberal after all. I'll give him this, though. They certainly raised a liar. Anyway, long story short, I can vividly remember the night my stepfather brought home the video for Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. He knew that I was into horror and that I was desperate to see these movies. My mother objected, of course, but he didn't relent. It's just a movie, he said. If he wants to see it, let him see it. And to my astonishment, she folded. Danny, my stepdad. He's been gone for years now. He was a Vietnam vet with PTSD. He liked to drink beer and smoke pot, which made him really cool to all my friends. Bringing me home Friday the 13th made him golden with me. The movie met all my expectations and then some. I wish I could watch myself watching it for the first time now. Oh man, I'd laugh, I'd cringe, I'd probably cry. That movie opened the floodgates, not just to every other Friday the 13th, but I was free to rent any other horror movie my little heart desired from then on, with the exception of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I can remember my mother saying, "I'm not going to let you watch a movie about people getting cut up with a chainsaw." She would love that impersonation if she saw it too, trust me. Anyway, now that I was freed from the parental discretion of my mother, I was like a kid in the candy store, or a horror nerd in the video store. I wish, and I really wish, that I knew which order I watched the rest of the series in. But soon enough, I'd caught up with every Friday the 13th that was available on video at the time. I can remember leaning forward in my seat and squinting and wondering, who the hell's that guy impaled on the bed of spikes at the end of Friday the 13th A New Beginning? I remember thinking, what the hell, when I heard that groovy disco intro at the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 3. I remember wondering where Jason was while watching the first film, and then, wait, who's that old lady, and she's the killer? I marked my calendar for every Friday the 13th growing up because my plans for that weekend were set in stone. God bless the USA Network of the 90s and USA Up All Night. Every Friday the 13th weekend, the USA Network became the Jason Voorhees Network. And to this day, when I hear The Darkest Side of the Night at the end of Jason Takes Manhattan, I'm filled with an almost overwhelming sense of nostalgia that's bittersweet, because that song not only closed out the final Friday movie of the weekend, but the entire weekend for me, and was a reminder that tomorrow was Monday and the beginning of another hellish school week. I have individual memories of A New Beginning and a story that I've told on this channel many times over regarding Jason Goes to Hell. But the thing about this series that endeared it to me so much, and to this day makes it so special to me, runs much deeper than just the memories and the nostalgia. And I mean, look, are any of these movies great movies? Yes, and I won't hear otherwise. But I do think they're great movies, in their own way. Part 4, The Final Chapter, is in my opinion the perfect slasher movie. I love Part 6's combination of action, humor, and horror. It's like a popcorn slasher. Part 5, A New Beginning, has the most memorable characters in the entire series. I love its sleaziness, and I love its pitch-black sense of humor. And the original Friday the 13th is an incredibly atmospheric, dark, and creepy murder mystery slasher that doesn't get enough praise. Sure, things go a little sideways when Jason takes Vancouver, or when Jason is reduced to a body-hopping demon slug thing, or when Jason goes to space, or you get the point. Whenever I watch any of the Paramount 8, which is what I like to call them, it's like going home. There's a familiarity there, there's a safety there, there's a warmth there. It's like seeing old friends again. Actually, it's more like seeing old friends getting slaughtered again, but still, they never get old because of this. And I have so many memories of my childhood attached to these movies. One of my favorites involves Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. I was sitting on the living room floor on a sunny summer afternoon watching Friday the 13th, A New Beginning with my grandmother. Yes, my grandmother. She didn't care. She just liked to spend time with me. And because I loved watching movies, we watched a lot of movies together. Well, along comes the insurance lady. I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but once a month the insurance lady would show up and collect a payment on whatever policy we had. Anyway, she comes right in, sits down on the couch, and while fumbling through her paperwork, becomes acutely aware of what's happening on the television. And what was happening on the television at that very moment, you ask? A very naked Debbie Sue Voorhees. That's what. Don't act like you don't know the scene. I'm sure a lot of you paused it. Often. Does your mother know what you're watching? She asked, incredulously. I don't remember my exact response, but I'm pretty sure it was something close to, yeah, she rented it for me. And even though I was just a stupid kid, I could sense the judgment in her voice, just in her overall presence. And I remember feeling a prideful sense of defiance in that direct and nonchalant response. Because what business was it of hers what I watched? Screw you, lady. She's probably long dead now, but screw you anyway. And though I've told this story a million times over, going to watch Jason Goes to Hell with members of my church youth group one Sunday evening after service is still one of my most cherished memories. Not only was it the first Friday the 13th or Jason movie I saw at the theater, it was the first movie I saw in a theater, period. I've had the pleasure of meeting a large number of people who worked on various entries in the series, and my Part 1 poster has quite a lot of miles on it and bears the signatures of most of the cast members, as well as Harry Manfredini, Victor Miller, Sean Cunningham, Tom Savini, and even Tasso. And I visited and toured the camp where the original Friday the 13th was filmed twice. They even used the footage that I shot there for one of the extras on the Scream Factory Ultimate Collection box set. Being even a small part of this box set is such an honor. But watching the movie at the camp where it was filmed, projected onto a big screen in front of the lake where Jason drowned, with many of the cast members as well as Harry Manfredini and Tom Savini present, is an experience I can't even begin to describe. And then walking through the woods in absolute pitch black to the parking area with only the light on my cell phone to guide me, that was an experience too. I love the horror genre. I live for this stuff. But it's the Friday the 13th series that's had the biggest impact on my life as a genre fan. And that's why out of all the horror franchises and out of all the horror franchise villains, Friday the 13th and Jason, and shout out to Pamela too, are the nearest and dearest to my heart. I was recently asked during a live stream if I would still be as big a horror fan as I am today had the Friday the 13th series not exist. And the answer is no. I hope everybody out there has a safe and happy Friday the 13th. Let me know your history with this series down in the comments section below, and share with me what your plans are for Friday the 13th. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, happy Friday the 13th. A huge thank you to all my patrons and channel members for your generosity and support. Become a patron today and get early access to videos, have a say in what content appears on my channel, join me for monthly live streams, exclusive watch parties, and more. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream, as well as members-only watch parties. Both those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.